could only get one thing up. So did you go to the car show?
Yeah, I did. I worked Friday, 5:30 to noon at gate 7, and then Saturday got my more than 10,000 steps in. So
It's a beautiful weekend for it.
yeah, it was.
Yep, for finally.
It was Sons of Norway. They work at the taking money at the gates. So yeah, so that was a pretty easy job. So put wristbands on. Very minimal change making. That it was $20 a day, 30 for the weekend. So
Okay, it is just a couple minutes after 7:45. This meeting, all the meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted, given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so that the citizenry may be aware of time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Therefore, in calling this to order, roll call will indicate that Dennis Wingowski is absent. He called last night. He's been sick all week, so he said he wasn't going to make it today either. So the rest of the committee are present. And you do have, for your pleasure, the agenda in front of us.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Any further discussion on the question? All the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried. Then you had the minutes from June 6th. Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Yeager and seconded by Mr. Wilbur. Any further discussion on the minutes? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried. Public comment. Public comment? Okay. Okay, I guess I'm not sure. Are any staff around today?
No, Lisa is either off or in another meeting, and Derek his wife had a baby a week ago Sunday, so he's off work for a couple of weeks also. So NRCS had nobody available. Lori didn't say she wasn't coming, but she did send this written report, so I took that as a sign that
She wasn't
going to be here in person, which is fine. I like the written thing. Lisa always copies me a written one to make the minutes a lot easier. Did not yet ask Lori to do that. So I guess just briefly looking at this report on Lori's behalf, looks like they've got a couple of deadlines. July 15th for crop reporting and August 1st is the last day to file a nomination for, I believe it's area 3.
Tim Schultz's.
It's the eastern area. So,
Can he run one more time or no? He's done.
so you're looking for a new body then.
Yep.
Oh, I guess the first paragraph says that here, yeah, we'll be accepting until August 1st. Anybody that lives in that LAA is eligible if they're a producer, I guess. Skipping down, more than 7,700 members of the A community serve on FSA committees. I guess this whole thing is basically about the nominations. So each of Lori's 3 counties has got an opening. I guess that makes sense, right? They're on a 3-year rotation, 3-year term, 9-year limit. So that's mostly what this is about.
How many areas are there very good in Quebec County?
3.
3 total of 3 areas.
Yeah.
It isn't divided by any particular reason the way it is, or just
Long and skinny thirds, eastern, central, and western.
Population.
is it kind of based on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the lines aren't straight.
No.
They're
Yeah, because it can change. You know,
Oh, with the census a little bit?
well, yeah, they annually look at the numbers and,
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. No, I've asked you this once before, Greg, how many times does your committee meet?
well, it depends. I mean, it's.
You don't have set meetings every 2 months, 1 month?
We never did with Jake. It was kind of as needed, but that was during COVID too. Lori right away scheduled them for every third Thursday of the month, but we already canceled last month's. And I don't know if this month's is, I don't know. This is kind of ugly because there's 2 girls in Wapaka quit already and 1 in Point retired. So they're really short staffed. That's probably why she's not here.
Well, I guess the reason I asked, I'm away from that for a long time now, but I didn't know if there was certain things that the committee has to act on,
Well, and it's an as needed thing, you know.
Because I know, Jim, you were on there.
Yeah, so when it gets busy is when there's some signups that are past the deadline, and then there's I don't know, they would have things that had to be reviewed by the committee.
Yeah, and if there's a disaster and there's claims, we kind of have to look at it and see if they're fraudulent or not. So, yeah.
So it's been kind of quiet as far as signups and as far as other program stuff going on, then.
If there's no need for a meeting, okay.
Yeah.
I was curious. Because I know years and years ago, it was every month. I mean, once I remember in China, it was twice a month even.
Really? Wow.
Remember years ago when my dad was on, and Lowell Feathers was the guy, and it was a man-in-law. It was like twice a month.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
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 There's a lot more farmers then too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the office? From this,
No, Lisa did not.
she didn't say anything.
No. She's been pretty busy lately with their being out and her having a second county now, so. I can tell whenever I talk to her that the urgency is a little higher, so.
Any supervisors go to any conferences, conventions in the last month? Relating to this. Okay. Go back to-
All right, so, Al Tank, from New London had called Lisa and I don't know, month and a half back and asked us if we would come and speak to the July 5th Farm Bureau meeting. I don't know if that's kind of an annual board meeting or what it was, but
They have monthly meetings, but maybe once a year, rural insurance kind of invites them. They're all affiliated,
right.
so.
So Al asked us if we'd come and speak about our programs and things. So Lisa and I did that on the evening of last Tuesday here at the Rural Insurance Building in town here, the old Quick Trip. So really, for me, I just took the county board report that we had done last month and changed a few slides and kind of used that as my basis. But we were there for 2 hours probably. Wasn't a lot of people there, but
Usually not a lot, how many, roughly?
15 to 20.
How many?
Something like that. I've done this before. It's probably been 7, 8 years maybe. But the crowd was about the same. Well, that they get a big draw. They did have, they were serving dinner, so that might have even accounted for a couple more people than normal.
Usually does.
I think the active farmers it's a little hard getting away in the summer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the farmers that were there were certainly none of them were full-time dairy farmers. Pretty tough time of the evening to get away from. nevertheless, it was a good opportunity to talk to some people. I did get questioned a little about Greg Blondie's position. That Brian Prater was there, and I think he had come to one of the finance meetings after that. But they were asking about that. Told them where we were at. But Penny Tank was there too, so she was able to speak to that just a little bit. But
Little side note to that. So the short course program is getting drastically changed too in Madison. They only had 20 sign up
For the whole state?
for the whole
Yeah.
state.
No, 20 for the whole state.
UW Madison, the short course only had 20.
So you can see how the changes are.
And there was a ruckus. Oh, you can't change that program, but years ago, it might have been 150 to 200. But that's,
It changes.
yeah, they want to keep the same program going for 20. It just doesn't pencil out.
Wow,
everything changes, right?
right or wrong.
Good or bad, it moves on.
Yeah.
Wow, I would never guess that. 20 state.
So moving on, our monthly Demo Farms project management team meeting was nothing special, but Matt Ruger, our contracted employee, and Derek Rasper and I did meet up in Mosinee at Swiderski's last week, Thursday. They're finally done with our interseeder that we've been playing with for a year and a half now. If you recall, that was a grant from the Fund for Lake Michigan to pay for 2 pieces of equipment for demo farm and other use. And we've had the Ash no-till drill for a year now, and that's been pretty popular. But, the interseeder, we tried to build something that didn't work at first, and they've been back to the drawing board on it since last planting season. Unfortunately, we missed most of the interseeding season, although I see a couple of texts this morning. It looks like Matt found a couple of fields up in Shawano that corn was planted pretty late on, and would be a good place to try all this out yet. So I would guess we're going to see that later this week or early next week, that they'll drop it off and see how it works once before we get too long into another year. And then Dan McFarland from our office went and spoke to the chain. I think it was Saturday, June 26th, or whatever that Saturday was. That was the Chain of Lakes Association, not the district. You know, he's got 2 entities there. Bob Ellis is chair of the district, which is the political entity. The association is just that, a lake association. But Dan said that was a pretty good crowd. He said about 110 people were there that morning. And he gave a presentation on what we've been doing on the chain. They've been doing some more shoreline inventory lately. And then we turn that around and turn it into some Healthy Lakes grants for people that are willing to do some of the cookie cutter Healthy Lakes practices that DNR will pay for. So when we apply for the DNR grants in the following year, we get those to do 1 of 5 things on Lakeshore. So, but Dan said he's gotten like 5 phone calls already last week or the week before from doing that. So I don't know that the district and the association always get along so well right now.
Otherwise,
A lot of the folks are on both, but there's something going on there once in a while, I think. So. But anyway, it was a good opportunity to get out and talk to some people. So Dan kind of enjoys the lake work a little bit. So moving on to number 9, Golden Sands RC&D. So you've heard me give a few updates and presentations. Last month, we talked about the aquatic invasive grant and how that's changed from previous years, where we're getting that roughly $15,000 a year from the state that we pass through along with 8 or 9 other counties to Golden Sands, which gives them about $150,000 a year to do our joint aquatic invasive programming in Central Sands counties. They're a nonprofit, so they've got a board and they've got representatives from each county. So historically, there's always been 2 representatives from each county that can go to the meetings and vote on stuff. It used to be that they had to be 2 LWCC members, and then about 5 or 6 years ago, they changed it so that the person in my position could serve as one of those spots because we more frequently attended those meetings. Some counties didn't get LCC there very frequently. So now it's 1 and 1. And Bob Ellis had been our representative from Wapaka for about a decade here. And of course, he's no longer on the committee. So Golden Sands is looking for us to fill that other representative spot. And if you read my Friday email, they have 6 meetings a year, every other month, on the 3rd Thursday in the morning. So that would be, there's one coming up now in July. So it'll be January, March, May, July, October. Anyway, this month is the meeting. So
Every other month, September then.
every other month. I generally attend either by video lately or in person. You know, Golden Sands does a few other things for us, right? We have the 5th grade field day in late September, early August, that we pay them, what, $3,000, now $2,500 to facilitate for us. They also do some groundwater education in school systems that we pay them about another $2 or $3 grand to do for us. So overall, you know, either out of our budget or DNR pass-through funds, we've got $20-some thousand, plus our annual dues to them, which is another $1,900 for them to operate. We've been able to use them for other things over the years. If you go way back to our pre-Stefan agronomist position years, we were sharing a county agronomist with 2 other counties through Golden Sands. That was just an easy mechanism for us to hire somebody part-time and have them facilitate the other problems of that. One of our 9 key element plans, the 3rd one we wrote, we did that through Golden Sands. Or actually, it was the 1st one we wrote. We did that through Golden Sands, just again as another mechanism to hire somebody quickly without having to go through any county procedures. So my point is, you know, somebody that's willing to go to a couple of these, maybe 3 a year or something, you don't have to go to every one. I generally will keep a pretty good eye on it, but at times, you know, they get into some issues where we should keep track of them a little bit, so.
The only comment I would made is when I first came on this committee, that was prior where Brian, he went along, but he didn't vote.
Right.
Yeah,
You were the other rep with Bob.
the
so-
other rep with Bob, and there were some meetings that were of some, let's say you learned some, because there was some importance. I have no idea what the meetings have been like lately. I know Bob sometimes gave a short report. It didn't seem to be.
Yeah, the format of the meetings, they have 2 committees. They have a water committee and a forestry committee that meet first for an hour, and then the 2 groups come together and the general meeting occurs. And honestly, the waters committee is what we've always went to from Wapaka, and that's more interesting than the regular part of the meeting. But that would be where every county talks a little bit about what's going on the last couple of months, and it's good chance to learn about what's happening with some of our neighbors here. So I guess having said that, we're looking for a volunteer.
Meetings are in Stevens Point.
They are in Stevens Point, right downtown is their office on Main Street. Lately, I haven't been there in person since pre-COVID, I don't think. They've hung on to some of their COVID rules pretty long, so last couple I've been doing joined by video. Thursday's gotten to be a little bit worse of a day for me. Land water board meetings at times. I miss some of these too.
If
Anybody
anybody,
have an interest? The only thing I was gonna say, I don't know if you can even do this. I'd probably like to attend one once a year, just to keep it, for myself personally, but
Yeah,
whoever else,
what can we do it that way where we have, like a delegate and an alternate and we switch turns and,
I can check into that, yeah. Probably, I know Wood County has 2 supervisors still on, and then Shane attends to. Not sure how they work that out.
is that way when we can justify to them that we'll for sure have one person.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you don't have to make every meeting. Get what's going on,
I'll look at the agenda.
test sniff the waters a little bit, so.
Anybody here wants to, I'd do one a year, but that's about all.
Yeah, I would be interested in some of it, but like you, I don't know that I want to be committed to every one.
I'll see if we can make that work.
All right, we should,
Have a motion?
yeah, we should probably do that.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we do a delegate and alternate setup so that there's someone who can attend. And do you want to be the delegate and I'll be the alternate?
Well, I only like to go once a year, probably.
Yeah.
I take on an alternate position.
Well, maybe we don't have to put a name in. We can just say,
Well, I don't know, that's, Brian.
Yeah, they want a name
They
from
want a
the
name.
primary delegate, so.
So
You could, I mean, like in Dwayne's case, if he wants to attend a meeting, he can attend one anytime. I guess the question is if you're not set up as a delegate, how the voting rights go. That's the part I'll have to look into.
But if you two gentlemen do it and you want to go along, you can still go to the meeting.
Well,
Right,
we're
yeah.
trying to fill in the blanks.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
But
I want to go to Florida January and February, maybe March.
Yeah, you're, with them only meeting once every other month, you're not missing much there. Bob always liked this stuff because it's a little more lake oriented at times. Fit his personality.
Well, okay, so I started a motion, so I better finish it. Ken, are you interested?
I'd like to be an alternate. It's a long haul for me. Kind of like Dwayne quit.
Well, sometimes Ken, if Brian's going, you can come here and he'll take
Won't
31.
go with me, but I don't know that we're gonna go anywhere in person for a couple more months, so.
I was in Point yesterday.
How's your internet?
Not worth, who,
Normally we would come and do that here too, so.
I was in Point
That's the
yes, oh, I'm
problem.
sorry. I was in Point yesterday and it is a little, is what it is, but there's still people wearing masks here and there. So it's just,
Yeah, somebody will do it all their life.
yeah,
That's their prerogative.
right.
So what, you start the motion, but.
I
don't know
did,
the rest.
and then I got kind of hung up,
That's
so. So, Brian, is it okay that they want a name right now?
Yeah, I guess they do. I mean, could we delay this till next month? Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we could.
I withdraw my motion to put this on the agenda next week.
Let me check into how we could arrange
Yeah,
it.
that might be clarification.
and then you said it was the dates for when, like
Third Thursday.
third Thursday,
Of every
Third
other-
Thursday morning.
starting in July.
Yeah, so there's one next week. So that's July, June, there's one in May,
September then.
March, January, March, May, July, September, and November. Well, the November one always. It's unlikely we're attending if both seasons on it, so.
Well, yeah.
Okay, then we got no motion and we'll just have it for clarification on the agenda for next. Okay. That'll work.
Okay, we're on to our capital improvement. I made paper copies of this just because I thought it was important enough. Easier than dealing with the screen, maybe. We're already a week and a half late. Heidi wanted these in preferably by the end of June, but it just didn't work out with our first of the month schedule last time, so. So this is our capital improvement project budget. One side is last year, 2022. Which was actually passed this time in 2021. And then the 2023 side is the current one. So if you look at last year's, you'll just notice I've scratched out a couple things in red there. One was instrument that showed up again that Heidi sends out an older version of this all the time, so you're gonna scratch some stuff off in here. But and then her instructions were anything less than 25,000 shouldn't be on here. So our roll plotter, if and when it ever ceases to exist, we'll just pay for it through the budget. They're not all that expensive. We're on our second one. We probably got 12 or 13 years out of the first one. They last pretty long. With our usage, so and then the compact drill was under, our no-till drill, the small one was under 25,000, but I bumped it up to 25. I'm sure prices have went there. So if you flip to the 2023 side of this, it's a little more compact. But what you notice is that I bumped this Dodge Caravan up a couple of vehicles on the list from the year before. And the reason for that is because this vehicle is just not helping us anymore. Was purchased in 2015, back when we went to a lot of meetings, did a lot of that kind of driving around. Greg Blondie also used it a fair amount. Greg's not here anymore. I'm just finding that we don't use this thing at all, hardly. I mean, you can't take it in the field because you don't want to get it dirty. You can't carry equipment with it. I do a lot more meetings by video. Post-COVID, we're still doing a lot of video stuff. Last winter, it sat in one spot so long the brakes went bad on it. We had to pay a pretty good chunk to get all the brakes fixed, and it was basically just for lack of use. So
Doesn't have that many miles.
it's got 38 or 39.
I mean, you know, if you think about it.
Yeah, that part of it's because we just, I mean, since
Not used much.
the start of 2020, we've just not used it
Yeah.
little at all. So
We borrowed it for highway last week.
yeah, highway uses it as much. So
Yeah, that once or twice a year, and one guy in the committee smoked, so he took his own car. And then another guy in the committee didn't come, so we could have easily used somebody's vehicle.
well, that's what we found too. You know, all of the trucks that we've ordered since 2014 have been crew cab trucks, and you can pretty comfortably get 5 people in those if you need to go somewhere. They're big, and we don't, you know, even in the days when we all go to the March convention, we're still taking 2 or 3 vehicles because people are coming down for one day. Some are there for 3 days. I can't drive with anybody anymore because I'm involved with stuff on either end of it, and things have just changed. But we need to have 5 vehicles this time of year. We're busy, and that van is really just kind of hurting us. So I switched it around, bumped the rest of our trucks down a year. They're all in good shape. We just replaced the oldest one last year, and actually have kept the 2012 temporarily with us having a new position too. We're up a person and down a vehicle with the van considered in that. The other thing you'll see that I did from last year, I have just in the last 2 weeks, I've started soliciting prices to meet Heidi's new chapter 16. And I've gotten two prices back in, which are basically state bid prices on a crew cab truck of the variety that we use. And the truck last year cost us under 32,000. And that same vehicle's up to 44,500 this year.
Oh, my God.
So I bumped all of our vehicles up accordingly on here, because I honestly don't believe that those prices are gonna go. They may go down a little, I just don't know they're gonna go down that much. And obviously, some of the vehicles here are, you know, this is a 5-year plan for 23 through 27, so. I guess to be safe, I don't know if everybody's gonna be doing that with a CIP. Not all, I mean, other than John and I on highway, I don't know that anybody else has vehicles really, so. A few of our older ones are still around. Ron has one of our older trucks that he uses for recycling runs and stuff like that. So anyway, that's where we're at with updated vehicle prices. Unfortunately, our vehicles are all purchased in a row from 2012 to 2016. So we're now 10 years out on that schedule, and we're getting hit with a new vehicle each year here again. But we would need to approve this then, so I can get it on Heidi.
So you have to have 5 vehicles, is that what you're saying, that you need?
Actually, I need 6, but what we're doing, what will work for now, Cindy, is that instead of getting rid of the very last one we replaced, we'll hang on to it for another year. And we'll keeping the last one that fell off the list for a year or two. That will work for most of a 10-year cycle, and by then, you know, maybe staffing will be different, that we don't need that, so.
So if you don't use this Dodge Grand Caravan that much, per se,
Right,
so would you still have to replace it for another?
we need the vehicle, but we don't, van
Need that
is
one.
useless to
Right.
us, you know, I mean, it's not 4-wheel drive, but we can't put tools and all the stuff the guys need to carry in the back, and it's just not suited for farm use, let's put it that way.
Could you get a good trade on it? Could you?
Well, we probably could get a really good price for it, but the new chapter 16 that Heidi passed the other day says that other county departments get first choice at having this, so I've already been told that the second floor has some interest in it. I don't personally think that's a good idea, because I know how little vehicles get used, but it is what it is. If they want it, I guess that's what our ordinance says.
Is
So
there money exchange then or not? I mean, do they give something back? I don't know.
we had that discussion, if you remember, Dwayne, back when Pat Craig was on committee. So in 2015, we had a different Dodge Caravan. It's still sitting out there. It's a blue one. We gave it to zoning because they were short on vehicles at the time. And Pat felt that way. She felt that something should be
Yes.
switched in the budgets, but from Heidi's perspective in finance, that's just not an option. So,
That wasn't a practical.
and that was right about the time where all of the vehicles came onto the CIP budget. A couple of these vehicles that we're replacing, like in 2012 and 2014, we used to carry money over in our budgets. Like for us, we carry tree sale money over, and that's how I would buy vehicles. The tree sale basically paid for our vehicles. Now that money goes back into the county budget instead, and then all our vehicles go on the CIP budget. That was one of the reasons we kind of had that blockage from 2012 to 2016 of so many vehicles, because I had a couple of grants and we had tree money and various things that we needed to spend out. We're expanding staff at the time. You know, we had 2 new people start. Stefan had started in 2014. We needed some vehicles. So.
So you really want a motion based on the
23, yeah, this is for
as
next,
presented.
right, this is for next year's CIP budget. So this year's was done last year.
I'll make a motion.
Good.
Accept.
Cindy, you second.
Second,
Any further discussion?
I think John and I were talking this morning, you know, Heidi's made mention of us having a little bit tighter financial budget coming up here. I suspect finance is gonna have a discussion about the CIP at some point. How to fund that, and I'm always thinking in the back of my mind that we may get bumped down out of necessity in some of these purchases if the money's not there. It is what it is. I mean, we got trucks are on a 10-year replacement. Can we get an 11th, 12th, 13th year out of most of them? Sure.
But they still gotta be replaced.
Right. The problem that we used to run into when we hung on to stuff longer is after a while, they just start eating you alive and costs. And that's kind of a budget breaker at times. But
Any other questions? Comments before I call the question? Anyways, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Questions carried. Thank you.
all right, just a update on our ARPA fund situation. Finance has had a handful of meetings regarding this in the last month or so. And last week, Wednesday, our 2 applications were approved. So that's 110,000 for the buffers and 21,900 for the well testing. That's gonna go to county board yet, Dwayne,
Yes,
this month?
yes.
Okay, so
It's a resolution.
be a resolution at county board for the
All
ones
of them will be on, that we approve that finance will be under one resolution.
So you guys probably approved about 2/3 of these the other day, give or take. Roughly for about half the money available, if I remember.
Right, the other half of the money we're just going to sit on for a while and work through the capital budget, you know, like trucks and whatever, and see where it comes.
Yeah, if things get tight for us, maybe that would be a good way to backfill the CIP a little bit, because those CIP needs are certainly there for everybody. So having said that, once county board approves that, I've got a waiting list for buffers. I don't know at this point, we're past the spring planting season. We have done one as a fall planting in 2020 that worked out. I don't know if we'll do any fall plantings, but some of the easements from the spring, the 10-year easements for those may get paid on ARPA already. Then I try to juggle the money around, and the money that DATCAP gives us is the most flexible. Even within our county proposal, we talked about trying to put that money where it helps make us meet those plan goals in the 9 key element plans. But so the funding we have available from now 3 different sources for buffers is just sort of a juggling act geographically. We do have a couple of contracts for land and water and trim. Mark Moon has a small scale trim grant for 162,000 that we're going to be starting on here anytime. So we should motion to approve that cost share agreement. DNR also has to pre-approve that agreement. And then we had a kind of a last minute issue come up with one of the Gonzalez farms, the one down on Leroy Nemeth's old place. They've got some feed leachate. Well, first of all, they want to expand their feed pad, and they've already got some feed leachate problems. So we've got about 25,000 left in land and water money to install a feed leachate system there. That farm was kind of unfortunately surrounded by ditches down there on the 25 acres that they own from Leroy. And the way the property is split out from what Leroy still owns, none of it's very helpful. It's a tight situation. But they had runoff problems with their manure back 8 years ago when we built their manure storage. Now we're on the edge of having some runoff issues with the feed leachate, and it did exist prior to 2010, so it's eligible for the cost share programs. So that would be a roughly $25,000 contract on the feed leachate runoff control there.
Our goal.
Is that the one down by where counties meet.
Yeah.
Yes.
the county line.
Right. I'll make that motion that we approve these agreements.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a second twice.
Are we saying?
Any further discussion on those two? What is called a question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried.
Okay, things going on right now. It's midsummer and we're hitting our stride here with projects going on. Some of the bigger stuff is started. Leroy Bayer, Jeff Henschel, this Gonzalez thing is kind of already started. We stopped it in mid-progress to get our plan together here. But, like I said, Mark Moon coming up here is another big one. We've got a couple others. So the big stuff that takes a couple months to get through has started, which is typical, I guess, from now till November.
How are the prices like concrete, has that gone up a lot?
Horrible. Everything's horrible. I mean, it's gone up crazy. Building prices have gone up crazy. You know, like I said, John and I were talking about CIP stuff. He said he had a $30,000 building somewhere in a park that's now $100,000. So, you know,
Put it on hold, huh?
that Mike Wagner project that we finished here back in winter time, you know, that roof on that barnyard went up. You know, essentially, you, the landowner, has to stop and put money down and say go to freeze your price. Otherwise, every week the salesman comes back, he's got a new price.
Mm.
We're seeing the same thing. We're got a project going with Bruce Heimbrook there up on N&T, and I think Bruce could have probably saved himself some money if he had put some money down on this project. And he waited and waited. Every time we talk to the salesman, the price goes up a bit. So buildings are worse than concrete, but concrete's gone up too. Corey's been working on the Henschel project there. They were talking about doing an experiment with our NRCS engineering staff and the state engineer using fiber mesh instead of steel in the concrete. And after all was said and done, because of the testing that was involved, steel was cheaper. So all of it was expensive, but nice to go back a couple of years to smaller prices.
Oh, my.
And like you said, 2 years from now, is it gonna look a lot different?
I don't have a lot of faith in that. Maybe things will stabilize a little bit. It sure be nice if vehicle prices went down a touch, but you know, and getting back to the vehicle price thing, not only are they expensive, but I always ask for a quote on a Ford, a Chevy, and a Dodge, even though we've had all Fords for quite some time. A year ago, the Chevy and the Ford were within $500 of each other. This year, the 2023, not 2022, the 23 Chevys are already ordered out. I can't get them. Ordering starts for the 23 Fords next week. So
what does that mean? There's a lot of money out there.
yeah, that's exactly what it means.
I think everything's supply and demand.
Well, with the
They
vehicles,
went
the
to
chips
order.
were a problem, or they maybe still are.
Because that's,
Yeah, I think with the vehicles, it sounds like they're going back to a ordering thing. We stopped across the road here last week and talked to Levi a little bit, and he said a customer order has priority over a dealer order, but all the companies want to not have this expensive inventory.
back to the 60s.
So it was like that, yeah.
Yeah.
You ordered it and then you waited. But they told me that when I got my last vehicle here back in October. Probably else, but
Runoff complaints and DNR actions, I'm still waiting on the test results. We had tested the farm north of Waiwega there on X. month and a half back or so. Those results will end up going to DNR and they're just waiting to issue a notice of discharge.
Oh,
there.
that's what's his name?
Yeah. Nothing seems to change there. Matter of fact, it kind of went backwards after winter again.
Probably all you need is a berm there by the barnyard.
For a guy to retire.
Or the house, then, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the manure management's been a problem there for a long time, so.
But you're probably right, Ken, if you would have built you know, a foot thick concrete wall outside of the right of way of the road there, that would have solved a lot.
Well, it's worse than even that. There's a ditch that comes off the road ditch and goes around the
Backside.
north and west side of the farm.
oh,
And you don't see it because it's already composted, but he's piled manure up along that little ditch for years and years.
oh,
Some of the oldest stuff was composted in the dirt. I mean,
Oh.
I'd like to go take a dump truck and take it
loaded
home.
up, good stuff,
Be good,
yeah.
yeah.
But, you know, as you come around, it gets newer and newer and some of it's overgrown. You can't even tell looking at it. I mean, we couldn't tell till we walked up from here to the wall. I
Yeah.
thought it was an earth berm back there. And you're like, "Man, it's not, that's just been there so long and nobody's ever moved it, so. And meanwhile, it sits next to this little ditch that wraps around back into the road ditch, so. Despite what's going on right on the road ditch, there's problems all over the building site there. Management team, we haven't had a get together since the county board retreat, so. I guess it's summertime, everybody's vacationing. Had plenty of other meetings. So that's really it for me, other than our upcoming meeting. A couple of you are signed up later this week for the county con meeting in Point, so.
I'll probably be there just on, well, I'll talk to you after.
I've got to be there Wednesday for some stuff. I got to be there Thursday morning, so you'll have to drive on your own without me.
Update me again on the time it's at Holiday Inn.
It's at Holiday Inn. The actual meeting portion is, starts at lunch on Thursday. So probably 11:30 or noon. And so it runs Thursday afternoon, usually till 4:30 or 5, and then they have a half barrel of beer in the room for everybody after that. And then Friday morning, it starts at 8 o'clock and runs to lunch.
I thought it said 7 o'clock.
I kind of hope not,
Oh, no, Friday night.
Ken. Breakfast probably at 7.
Oh.
Yeah, breakfast might be good.
Oh,
Who's out going again?
I signed up.
Cindy signed up, Ken signed up, Dwayne signed up.
I'm only gonna be there one day.
You want to come?
Thursday, I'll look when I get home.
I think it'll be Thursday, I'll be there Friday.
Well, that's important, Dwayne. The keg of beer is there on Thursday.
That's the only reason I said it. Yeah, I missed that for 2 years. No.
I do have a request about our next meeting. So this is the time of year when we get in a little bit of calendar trouble with budget. Heidi usually wants the budgets back from department heads by the end of August, 30th or 31st. However, she has not yet sent them out to us. So I'm expecting maybe next week we'll see that from her. Might be closer to the 1st of August before we get the paperwork to fill out. So our next first Monday would be the 1st of August, and I'm a little bit afraid that might be too soon, depending on when that comes out, how much time I got to work through that. So it'd probably be best budget-wise if we had our meeting on the 8th of August, which is the second Monday, but I don't know what that does to your schedules. Because the first Monday in September is a holiday again, so we can't sneak a budget in late. We'll be deep into September before you know that won't go well, so.
Always thinking, when emergency planning, we do that in July. So it's the second one.
At one time.
I have to think. I think we just had it in July, so it wouldn't be until September.
First, well, today is the second Monday in July.
Oh, then we did have it. Yeah, that'd be that day.
Be that day. So we just need to be done before 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we come back to 7:45.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
What is that?
Well, that second,
August 8th.
the second Monday in August, I also have emergency planning meeting, but as long as we're done by 9. That's.
Yeah, I mean, I can control the
I
content.
just gotta go
enough
over
here
to the
keep it
sheriff's
2 hours,
office.
so.
I just gotta go over by sheriff's office. Yeah, that's right, it would be that.
It works for me.
Yeah, that just gives us a.
Well, it actually works better for me too, because I'm coming back from a week up north. So it's like,
Yeah, and then looking at September, we're gonna be at least the second Monday there because the first one's a holiday again, so. So that we don't get one of these 3-week gaps or 5-week gaps. So
Anything else before we adjourn?
just 7:45.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Cindy, to answer your question, see, I'll be up north for planning and zoning that second, that last one of the month. That's the one
Because
I
I knew we were talking about something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you said the damn thing. But that last week,
Okay.
I'll be up.
Okay.
Just a question on Thursday, how long are they gonna serve meal there if I don't get there right away at 12?
Agenda started at noon.
Yeah, I don't know if lunch starts at 11:30 or 12.
It said 12 to 1:30, so it's like
12.
Oh,
Well, I know, because we probably have some opening speech there in front of the whole.
oh, because I might not get there right at noon. So.
My guess is you're probably good till 12:45.
Oh, okay, I'll get there by then.
it's already.
We can hold a plate under the
Yeah,
table for
yeah, hold
you
another.
if we get hungry.
This is here.
How's the cabbage doing?
it's growing. Everything's really growing. It's getting dry though.
Better believe it, as you go south, that's dry.
I see more sprinklers running this morning.
Yeah.
1,500 yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was happy about that.
Yeah, I agree, but
Right in the evening too, where the sun went down and the ground stayed wet a little longer.
Yeah, yeah,
helped a little.
settle the dust for a little while.
But boy, you know, those fires and the heat out to the south is pretty scorching.
Yeah. Burning